clerk.
Trustee Mills.
Present.
Trustee Newell.
Present.
Trustee Palafis.
Present.
Trustee Stanton.
Present.
Trustee Gata.
Present.
Trustee Arnett.
Present.
Mayor McLeod.
Everybody please rise. Trustee Mills, you want to lead us in the pledge? Thank you, Trustee Mills.
Here, thank you.
Move on to item number 3, recognition of the audience. This is a time that if someone has a question or concern for an item that is not on the agenda, now's the time to come forward if you have a question for the village board or the village staff. Yes, sir, come up and identify yourself for the record, name and address, and tell us what you want to say.
Good afternoon. My name is Daniel Kowalski. My address is 1015 Lancaster Court. And I wanted to ask the trustees, there it goes. Better? All right. Wanted to talk to the trustees and ask the trustees and the mayor about something that I had in my mind for quite a bit. I understand that the village at this moment does not allow any fowl to be raised in the village. I'm talking about hens, and this is something I would like to do and apply for permitting or any kind of a program that you guys might be able to allow at some point in time for the people that may be interested. There are many villages that have pilot programs or even programs that are out there already, and you know I have not found anything here in Hoffman Estates that we could that I could. Is that my ex?
Next request. I'm just kidding. Just joking.
So I mean, basically, I wanted to address the trustees and kind of put that on the agenda at some point in your time that maybe we could talk about that in the future.
We haven't directly dealt with this yet, and I suppose at some point we're going to have to, because a lot of communities do allow it. And there's
I
family
do-
members who want it, and that, you know.
I do know that there was a family off of Illinois. I can't remember the name of the street. Kingsdale, maybe, or not Kingsdale, but
Kingman?
yeah, Kingman. They had raising some hens for a while, unbeknownst probably to everybody else.
Well, we can certainly take a look at it. I don't know where everybody's at on it. We've never talked about it.
I really appreciate it. I mean, there's a lot of interest. I've started looking around different Facebook groups, Hoffman Estate groups, and there's a lot of people that have raised their interest on this as well. Once again, it needs to be, I guess, part of the law here or part of the code that people are allowed to do so if it happens to be so. But at this moment, I have not found anything. Even the whole explanation of what animals could be raised or could not be raised is not very clear in the code itself. I
Okay.
tried researching that.
You're in 1015 Lancaster Court. Can you give us your name again, sir?
Yes, it's Daniel Kowalski.
Daniel Kowalski, okay. Great, okay, well, we will certainly, yeah.
I was
go
just
ahead.
going to say, I get pinged about once a year for either hens or bees. You know, honeybees. No attack bees or
Got a
anything
couple of
crazy.
daughter-in-laws who are all over me on this, too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So, and I think you're friends with Jill Miller. Who
Yes, she has recently moved.
pinged
actually.
me on your behalf,
Oh, okay.
and you know, I said come to tonight because never know where to go with the conversation.
My next door neighbor is one of your old trustees as well, and you know, me and her talked about that, and you know, she says that it really has not ever been brought up to the trustees before, and she has also encouraged me to come out and talk to you guys today as well.
I'll give Jackie Green our best regards.
That's right.
Well, because we just spoke before I came here.
She mentioned it to me over the weekend.
Oh, did
so-
she?
She has a yard for it too. She's got a football field in her backyard.
So do I, and
Yeah.
this is why I'm kind of interested. And we kind of like build our yard backs into the park district pond, I suppose. So there's really no neighbors in the back or anything like that that would be bothered by such a thing. But
Right.
Well, thank you, sir.
thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening.
Anyone else have anything they want to come forward with before the board and the village staff? If not, we'll move on to item number 4, approval of the minutes of the June 3rd, 2019 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have a motion carried. I was dilatory in not mentioning that this meeting is being broadcast live and will be reshown on our cable channels throughout the week, if you weren't able to be here tonight. So move on to consent agenda. Chair will accept a motion.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Anybody want anything pulled? Okay, the items on the consent agenda are A, approval of the agenda, B, approval of the schedule of bills for June 17th, 2019, the amount of $8,577,620.04. Wow, Rachel. That's a lot of money. C, request board approval of an ordinance granting a variation to premises at 1647 Burr Oak Drive, Hoffman Estates. D, request board approval of an ordinance granting a variation to premises at 445 Westview Street, Hoffman Estates. E, request board approval of an ordinance granting a variation to premises at 4401 Wildwood Court in Hoffman Estates. F, request board approval of A, 1, development agreement for the 53-acre Hoffman Technology Park located on the north side of Lakewood Boulevard, and 2, resolution supporting a Cook County Class 6B classification application for property tax assessment purposes for the proposed Hoffman Estates Technology Park to be located at Lakewood Boulevard and Eagle Way. G, request board approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Cook County for capital projects. And H, request board approval to enter into a no-cost contract with Simple Recycling for curbside recycling of textiles and small home goods. We do have a motion to seconds. Anybody want any discussion on any of these items? If not, can you poll the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. Move on to President's Report. I believe we have some proclamations.
Yes, we do, and I have the first one, Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas exemplary public service employment is of vital importance in assuring provision of services directed toward the health, welfare, and safety of the citizens of any community, and whereas the Public Works Department has upon its roster an individual who should be commended for assisting said department in faithfully serving the citizens of this community. And whereas length of service coupled with continued training and positive attitude toward assigned job tasks make a profile of this dedicated employee. And whereas the Village of Hoffman Estates, on behalf of its citizens, desires to acknowledge its indebtedness and gratitude for 30 years of dedication and proficiency in the aforementioned department. Be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by the virtue of authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and the laws of this Village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaim Saturday, June 29, 2019, as Michael Plosinski Day in the Village of Hoffman Estates, and urge all employees and citizens of the village to join us in expressing gratitude and appreciation to this employee who may have assisted them with outstanding service.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion, a second. We appreciate the great job Michael has done for us for 30 years in the Public Works Department.
Bless you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have a motion carried. And Mr. Nebel, you give this with Michael with our thanks? Okay, who's next?
I am. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, can occur after a person's experiences trauma, including but not limited to the stress of combat, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, bombings, accidents, and natural disasters, and affects approximately 8 million adults in the United States annually. And whereas PTSD is associated with chemical changes in the body's hormonal system and autonomic nervous system, and is characterized by symptoms including flashbacks, nightmares, insomnia, avoidance, hypervigilance, anxiety, and depression. And whereas the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces, who proudly serve the nation and risk their lives to protect our freedom, deserve the investment of every possible resource to ensure their lasting physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And whereas combat-related PTSD stress among our men and women in the armed forces is significantly pronounced, given that they are often exposed to highly traumatic events for weeks, months, and even years. And whereas between 10 and 30% of service members will develop PTSD within a year of leaving combat, while others may not develop symptoms until years later. And whereas despite its treatability, many cases of PTSD remain undiagnosed and untreated due to a lack of awareness of this condition and the persistent stigma associated with mental health conditions. And whereas all citizens suffering from PTSD deserve our consideration, and those who are affected by PTSD from wounds received while protecting our freedom deserve our respect and special honor. Be it therefore resolved that William D. McLeod, acting under and by virtue of the authority vested in him by the Constitution of the State of Illinois and laws of this village of Hoffman Estates, hereby proclaim June 27, 2019 as PTSD Awareness Day in the village of Hoffman Estates, and urge all Hoffman Estates citizens, government agencies, business leaders, hospitals, schools, and public and private institutions in the village to promote awareness of PTSD and to support programs and policies that increase the opportunity of providing resources to all individuals affected by PTSD.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion is second. I think lack of awareness and stigma pretty much sums up the entire problem here, is that there is a lack of awareness, there's a lack of really of understanding what this is all about, and that's got to change in this country. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have a motion carried. Can you make sure this is posted, Mr. Norris? Okay. Cheryl, why don't you accept it? You're here. Let's give that to Cheryl. Cheryl Novus of our Veterans Commission. Cheryl, sorry. I was sleeping at the switch. Why don't you, everybody, and then you guys say a few words.
Okay, you can. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Did you pass these down? Major, good to see you again.
Now, we were given 2 minutes.
Yeah. We're on TV, so you got to talk in this so everybody here at home can hear what you're saying.
First, we are totally honored. Right now, I'm representing 2 organizations. One would be the Veterans Commission, but also we are finding ways to address trauma before it turns into PTSD. You know, my parents moved here in '59, so it's 60 years that I've lived here. And to see everything come full circle, and to see the Salvation Army coming in with an incredible program, and it's a territorial chaplaincy program that was basically spawned by debriefing exercises that I was lucky enough to be involved with during the storms of 2017. Because of that, what we're trying to do is be preemptive. And by being preemptive, the reality over the past 30 years of research that I've done on combat stress and PTSD, the reality is this: good debriefing, good counseling, on the flip side of the trauma, is the cornerstone to resiliency. And that is what we have passed out to you, is our new program. So I want to introduce you to Major Michelle Heaver. She's my colleague, and she's also the coordinator of this program for the Salvation Army Central Territory here in Hoffman Estates.
Welcome, Major.
Thank you. The developer of the program is Kevin Ellers, and I'm thrilled to be able to work with him in developing chaplains who can then be used in the community in which they live, working with local fire departments, police departments, first responders, as they go out and engage in the community and themselves engage in trauma and serving those who are also affected by trauma. And we're thrilled to be able to do such a program.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thanks for all you do, Cheryl. Yeah, let's get a picture. Come on up here. Get a picture. Thank you. Good catch. Almost got away. You can't get away without a picture.
Can't leave without a picture.
Tilt the top toward me just a little bit. Perfect. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. One more, please. 1, 2, 3. Thanks.
Thank you. Very fortunate to have a great facility of Salvation Army in our community. Cheryl, I always remember your dad, you know, those hot Memorial days at St. Peter's when we did it outside. And he would stand ramrod straight for an hour and a half. He wouldn't sit down. He may have been in his 80s, but he was a 20-year-old Marine again, and he was a tough guy. And we owe him and his colleagues a great debt of gratitude for the fact that we're still a free country. So thank you.
I'm blessed for what the standard he set, being involved with folks with such great standards.
Thank you. I do have an appointment to make, Patrick Seeger to the Fire Pension Board, because he's not busy enough.
So moved. Second.
I've heard that.
Motion a second, last chance to dump out, Patrick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have a motion carried.
It's official.
I have one resignation, Mary Anstis from the Sister Cities Commission. Chair to accept a motion.
I'll second.
So motion a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. A couple things. One, I want to express the condolences of, I think, of everybody on our board to Trustee Stanton on the recent death of his sister.
Thank you.
You have all our prayers for your family and your brother-in-law and everybody in the family. We do have some things going on this Thursday, June 20th. Centerfold will be at the playing rock and roll at the Village Green at 7 p.m. And so check it out. It's always a great time at the Village Green. The Children's Advocacy Center of North and Northwest Cook County will host the Champion for Children 5K Run Walk on Saturday, June 22nd. Registration opens at 6:30 a.m. Race begins at 8. The race takes place at the CAC located at 640 Illinois Boulevard in Hoffman Estates. Register today at www.cacahelps.org. Okay, this evening we had a reception for Joshua Greenbaum, a Eagle Scout who put bins together for the proper disposal of flags, which we really appreciate. One of the bins will be located here at Village Hall, and another one will be at the police building. So thank you very much, Joshua. And we have a great scouting movement in Hoffman Estates. They really produce a lot of great Eagle Scouts and outstanding leaders. I want to thank the village board members who stepped up to the plate and went to all the events that I didn't go to this weekend because we were visiting my daughter and her husband and our grandson Aiden in Memphis, Tennessee. It was his birthday. It was Aiden's birthday, so that was a great event. And I did go to Graceland. I paid my admission, and there was absolutely no issues involved on this. So thank you very much for
Brave mayor.
taking care of everything. And I guess that's probably all I have at this point. We go back to my agenda here. We did the appointments. Yeah, it did. Me and Elvis. Got here one room, the junk room they call it. It's a green shag carpeting on the floor, the walls, and the ceiling. Well, as someone who actually liked shag carpeting, yeah, I mean, I actually had a rake, which Joni threw away when we got married, so that was the end of that. Okay, let's move on. Let's get serious here. Forget about my eccentricities. We'll move on to trustee comments. Trustee Arnett.
Thank you. On June 6th, I was able to attend the wake for Dave Doman, and my condolences to his family, friends, and to the PD. Also, on the 13th, I did attend the Prep Sports Awards at the Sears Center. They had over 500 athlete students there, over 22 schools. It was very well done by the paper, and very emotional for some of the students who won the awards.
And you presented an award.
I did. I presented 2 awards, yes.
Good.
Very last awards. On Saturday, the 15th, I attended Lieutenant Jay Martino's retirement ceremony at Station 23, and that was just a really awesome ceremony to attend. Thank you very much for inviting us. Also attended the fishing derby, and later that evening, the block party for Karen Canuvin at 665 Evergreen Lane. And my condolences also to Gary and his family, and also congratulations to Joshua Greenbaum on his terrific job on the flag returns. That's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Stanton.
I also was able to attend Police Officer Doma's wake on the 6th as well, and then after that, we attended a retirement party for Georgiana Mayer up north. On the 15th, I attended the Hoffman Estates Chamber of Commerce's fishing derby, although I went there about 10:30, and everybody else had almost gone by then, as far as our group. And today, I want to also thank Joshua Greenbaum and his Eagle Scout project presentation tonight. It was wonderful to see that he built these things for the flags, that we can dispose of them properly. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Stanton. Trustee Mills.
Thank you. On the 6th, I also was at Officer Doman's wake. Very sad time for everyone involved, especially in his police family and also his regular family. Later that day was at Georgianne Mears' retirement party, and she will be greatly missed, not only at Hoffman Estates Community Bank, but as part of our Chamber of Commerce. She's been very active over the years, and great person to be involved all the time. Then after that, went out to visit and see our Hideaway Beer Garden and the Summer Sounds on the Green, which was a great night. A little cool, but it was very nice. On the 15th, was at the Chamber Fishing Derby and also at the retirement service for Lieutenant Jay Martino. I want to thank the fire department for including us. It was really a great occasion and quite a moving ceremony. Thank you very much. Thank you to Eagle Scout Joshua Greenbaum for the presentation he made tonight of the flag containers. Something great that you don't really think about, and it's a really neat thing that he came up with for his Eagle Scout project. Our condolences to Gary Stanton and his family. And the fun part of the last couple weeks was celebrating our daughter Laura's birthday on the 7th and my husband Glenn's on the 12th. So it was a busy time family-wise.
Lots
Thank
of happy
you.
birthdays. That's great.
That's it.
Trustee Gata.
Oh, okay. On Friday, June 7th, attended the Officer Dominion funeral services. And what a great tribute to him, seeing over 400 cars that went from the funeral home to the church to the cemetery. And one of the things that was very impressive was every fire station that we passed, the personnel would come out to the curb. Some were saluting, right? Some were all standing at attention. And they waited for all these cars to go by. That was unbelievable. Yes, and that's a tribute. Oh, I don't say. Oh, there's a tribute to they're seeing over there. Anyways, and then on Saturday, June 8th, they attended the Spring Awakening by the Sears Center Arena with Mayor McLeod, Trustee Gary Falafis, Police Chief Ted Boss, and Fire Chief Pat Fortunato. It was great to see all these departments working together, and as far as to keep 30,000 people, let's say, right, as safe as they could. And then we also had a tour of the command center, and the command center was absolutely excellent. They had every area covered, and not only that, they had a monitor that probably was at least a 50-inch, was just weather. So this way they knew exactly what was coming before it even hit here. And it was very, very impressive with the police department and with the chief of doing it. Let's see, great job by all. And then on the 16th, attended the block party at 665 Evergreen Lane. And condolences to Gary Stanton's family. All right, that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Newell.
Okay, pretty much the same. Starting out on the 6th of June, attended the wake of Officer Doman, which was very, very sad. A lot of people attended. Also that evening and on the 13th, stopped at the Village Green to see what some of the bands were there that are put on by the Arts Commission. Huge crowd, glad the weather's staying really nice. On the 14th, the Flag Day ceremony that they had at St. Petey's, St. Peter's, not St. Petey's, whatever, same place. On the 15th, kind of a busy day, the fishing derby was there. Congrats on the retirement of Lieutenant Martino. I didn't get to be there at the ceremony, but I did stop at a stop sign and had cars behind me and saw them all standing by the flagpole in their blue dress uniforms, and it was just an awesome sight to see. It was just, even the cars behind me just totally stopped and had to watch. It was awesome. Also on that day, Schaumburg Township had their Township Day, so they had a opening to let you know what the township actually does for you and all the departments. And then we also did the block party on 665 Evergreen, beat the rain out, so that was good. Tonight, the congrats to Joshua Greenbaum for making the storage bins, which are a unique idea, and a lot of time was put into that, so congrats to him. And of course, condolences to Trustee Stanton and your family. And that's all I have.
Okay, also, your township, Schaumburg Township, is doing a community shred day on Saturday, June 22nd, 9 to 11 a.m. They'll have 4 shredding boxes or bags per person, open to residents only, held at the township. You have to be a resident of Schaumburg Township. Paper clips, staples, and rubber bands do not need to be removed. Drive up, stay in your car, follow traffic, and we'll do the rest. So it's 9 to 11 on Saturday. Get rid of those papers that you don't want to throw in the garbage and you want to be shredded. So it's great service that the Schaumburg Township is providing. Trustee Palafis.
Also want to give condolences, Garrett, to you and your family.
Thank you to all of you.
Dave Doman, he predominantly covered the north side and was quite the practical joker. And every once in a while, he knew my car, so he'd pull me over. And he'd come up, and I'd be like, I do anything wrong, officer? He's like, what are you doing today? Where are you going? I don't know if he was just killing time, but he was a lot of fun, and whenever he'd pull up next to my son, he knew my car, he'd wave to him. So I'd get home, and John would be like, there's some police officer waving at me today at the stoplight. But, man, what a fun guy. He'll be so missed, and especially up on that beat. The Winston Knowles Facebook page, everything was lit up. Everybody knew. And you never realize the impact, that somebody has on the community so deeply. But anyway, also wanted to thank Joshua Greenbaum for the flag receptacles. I get approached sometimes in the craziest places. We were at the veterans flag raising, and Joshua and his mom knows Michelle, which isn't any surprise.
Everybody knows Michelle.
Yeah, I know everybody knows Michelle. And she came in and introduced her, I know your wife, Michelle, and this is my son, Joshua, and he wanted to make the bins. And I don't know if he said this tonight or if you all know this, but he has like an order from like VFWs and all kinds of places in the area, and had to cap it. I don't know if he's making 2 more for the Legion and the VFW, but there's a whole bunch of places that asked once word got out. And those boxes are beautiful, and people bring flags, and it's something you just really don't think of until you have one and are trying to figure out where. I love the fact that they're here in our village, because I'd have to drive over to the Legion building in Palatine, if somebody or friends gave me, a flag to retire. So it's great that they're here. Another great ad to somebody who is, affecting our community. It's good to see Cheryl Novus. I'm glad you said the nice words about John Mayer.
Oh,
he was
great.
fabulous. He used to carry around a picture of a very famous Marine named Chesty Puller, because they actually were part of the island hopping campaign together. And he would tell stories about how much he loved his wife, which for every young married guy was the coolest thing in the world. He was just such a great guy. And all of Cheryl's work with PTSD, she has more degrees than I think anybody I know. So she's a great add too. Summer concerts, we had the WIU Jazz Quartet, which turned into a quintet and a sextet. More and more kept adding, but it was great. It was our biggest. Jazz hasn't historically been palatable as much as other groups, in our plethora of bands and entertainment we have out there. But they pulled them in pretty well. So it was a nice night, and I think everybody enjoyed themselves. And this week with Centerfold, she's a great singer. Definitely worth coming out to see that group. Also, the Spring Awakening, Mike, I'm glad you said those words, but I have to tell one story. So the chiefs, the mayor, Mike and I were all standing out there with the guy who ran ops for the whole event. And Bill had his Mayor McLeod hat on, which you could see from 10,000 feet. The letters are just a great size. And this couple walked by holding hands, and after they got past us a little bit, he goes, "Thanks, Mayor." Knowing that we were all out there probably, to credit you for maybe spearheading the event, and it was already pretty packed at 2:30. So it was a fun event. And we
were the oldest ones there.
Oh, by far. We were decades older than, everybody else there. But it was fun, kind of watching how our properties get used in so many different ways and whatnot. And that's all for me.
Okay. Yeah, we were the three uncoolest dudes at that event. There's no doubt about it.
The Chiefs look good. They were in uniform,
Yeah, they always look good in
Yeah.
uniforms.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chief. We appreciate that.
Showing us up, yeah. 6C, Village Managers Report.
Just condolences to Trustee Stanton and his family.
Thank you, Jim.
Village Clerk's Report.
No report.
Okay, Treasurer's Report. This will be received and filed. Anybody have any questions on the Treasurer's Report? Okay, thank you, Rachel. Committee reports, Public Works and Utilities, Trustee Newell.
Okay, Public Work and Utility Committee will meet on June 24th, 2019. We will have a roll call. We'll have the approval of minutes from June 3rd, 2019. And under new business, this is true, only one item.
Joe's done buying for the year.
I
Only
just want to make
Monday.
sure this was correct.
That's right.
All righty. So the one item that I have is request authorization to waive bidding and purchase a portable message board through Tapco Incorporated, which is out of Brown Deer, Wisconsin, using the U.S. Communities contract discount in an amount not to exceed $30,542.50. Under reports, for information only, we have two. One of them is the Department of Public Works monthly report, and the second one is Department of Development Services monthly engineering report of the Transportation and Engineering Division. We'll have a president's report, nothing under other or items in review at this time, and then we will adjourn.
Thank you. Public Health and Safety, Trustee Gata.
Yes, immediately following the Public Works and Utility Committee, the Public Health and Safety Committee will meet on the 24th, 2019. We will have a roll call, approval of the minutes of June 3rd, 2019. Under new business, we don't have any under new business. Under reports, information only. The first one, Police Department monthly report. Seeing none, received and filed. Number two, Health and Human Services monthly report. Seeing none, received and filed. Emergency Management Coordinator monthly report, received and filed. And Fire Department monthly report. Anything to add, Chief? No. Received and filed. We will also have a President's report, other items in review, and then we will adjourn.
Thank you. Finance, Trustee Palafis.
I was going to say, it's rare that I carry the heavy load for the evening with the agenda. The universe is definitely out of order. So immediately after Mike reads some stories and some letters, we will call to order the Finance Committee for June 24th, 2019. Establish a quorum through roll call, and then we'll ask for an approval of the minutes for June 3rd, 2019. We have three items under new business. The first is a request acceptance of the comprehensive annual financial report for the year ended December 31st, 2018. Item number two is a request acceptance of the Economic Development Area Special Tax Allocation Fund annual financial report. That's a mouthful. for the year end December 31st, 2018. And item number 3 is a request authorization to waive bid and award a contract to CDW Government for the purchase of 45 desktop computers in an amount not to exceed $32,130. We will also have the 3 reports for information only, the Finance Department monthly report, the Information Systems Department monthly report, and the Sear Center monthly report. If there are any more items for President's report, we have a line item there. We have another for anything that is not on the agenda, if folks want to approach us. No items in review, and then we will ask for adjournment.
Thank you, Trustee Palafis. We will move on to Planning and Zoning Commission report. Madam Chairperson, how are you? Good.
Planning
A
and,
lot of stuff here. You've been busy.
yes, and one of the items didn't even make it on here. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by Michelle and Robert Shaw, owner, for a 5-foot corner side yard setback variation from section 9-3-3-C-2-B to allow a 4-foot-high open-designed fence to be 0 feet from the western property line instead of the minimum required 5 feet to encroach. I think there's some wording left out here. I think it's to avoid the encroachment of the fence on the site triangle on the property located at 3930 Whispering Trail Drive. The vote was 11 ayes. This is,
Motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Madam
can I
Chair?
add, this is another unique situation where they're on a corner of a cul-de-sac. The fence has been there for decades. They have extensive landscaping, and it's 4 foot high and open.
So it's already there.
The replacing.
It's a
For
replacement.
what's already there, okay. Okay, any questions from the board? See no questions, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by a la carte entertainment applicant and owner for a special use under section 9-8-2-C-9 to operate a banquet hall/facility on the property located at 2525 West Higgins Road. Vote was 11 ayes.
Chair will accept a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions on this item?
Just one. Did they indicate as to how many events they expect to have during a week?
I don't think there was a number. I think they're operating almost at full capacity, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else from anybody? Seeing none, can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by TR Greenspoint LLC owner and Grissom Metz Andreas Associates applicant for a preliminary and final site plan amendment for landscape and hardscape improvements on the property located at 2800 West Higgins Road. Vote was 11 ayes, no nos.
Chair will accept the motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion, there's a second. Trustee Mills.
I saw in the minutes from your meeting, there was a lot of discussion regarding the construction hours and that condition. Did we get that resolved, staff? Anybody?
They were
Mr.
going
Copley,
to-
come up to the microphone and,
I will check and verify if everything has been resolved. I was not aware that anything was still open in this.
Well, I know that the condition says that it'll be in accordance with village code or as approved by the Director of Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement. I believe they were looking to start earlier than 7 o'clock
Yeah,
that we
there's-
normally
They
allow.
were
6 a.m.
union labor, so they wanted 6.
And on occasions, we've allowed that in areas where there would be no noise spillover to residential areas. So at Greenspoint, I think,
Well,
Yeah,
my
the question was the
concern was the
hotels.
hotels that were on either side of it, actually. So I don't know what was decided on that.
okay, the petitioner's here. Do you want to come up and
Yeah,
make
because
your
I just
case
want to
there?
make sure that's resolved before
Yeah, no, I understand.
we go
It's-
forward.
On my way
Name and
over-
address for the record, sir.
I'm sorry?
Name and address for the record.
Scott Egan, 2800 West Higgins, Greenspoint. On my way over, I was emailed the finding of fact, and at the very bottom, it discusses the concern. Asked if they could start earlier than 7 a.m. prescribed. Staff said, given the work is low impact from a site standpoint and there are no nearby residents, it shouldn't be an issue. That's what
Well,
was
I
on
know
there.
it says that, it's just that we ought to make sure that it has been clarified.
Okay.
Because it's a little bit ambiguous with the way the conditions state it.
There's a lot of hotels in the area.
Yeah.
We'll be concerned about that.
So what we've done sometimes in the past in the Greenspoint area is allowed them to proceed at 6 o'clock with the understanding if we receive complaints from
Okay.
people that are at the hotel that it will revert to 7.
How long do you think the construction period will last? Is that mic on?
Yes.
I believe no more than 90 days. I wanted to say 60, but I don't want to overpromise.
And I would think that the heavy construction won't be the entire 90 days, that it would be making a lot of noise.
No, there's not going to be a lot of, I mean, most of it's digging earth and pouring concrete,
Right.
stuff like that, and that's not real noisy.
That shouldn't be an issue at all, I would think.
We're
Well, if
not,
we
we're not
could,
removing much pavement, and that would be the loud, jackhammering and whatnot, but there's not a lot of that going on. Mostly putting stuff in.
all right, well, if staff could just check into that, appreciate it. That's all.
Trustee Noel.
I just had one question that they're going to be having like grills and umbrellas and stuff like that. So for the winter, that will all be taken in? It won't be left outside or anything?
Actually, I thought most of the umbrellas would be affixed to the furniture, but anything that's removable definitely would be taken down, yeah,
Okay.
probably daily.
Okay.
I did have- Mayor, I did have one other.
Yes, go ahead, Trustee Mills.
Are there going to be, it almost looked like you got a little bit of a stage there in the center. Are they going to be having entertainment?
It's definitely going to be open for seating for the tenants during the day. The hope is to, I mean, that's the grandiose idea, yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, just like the food trucks, we hope to, nothing's permanent, but that stuff that's, if we build it, hopefully they'll come, is the,
Okay. Thank you.
Page 7.
Anything else? Council, you have any concerns?
Okay, it's just.
If I could add something on the grills, we had discussed that, and they had indicated that they would look into maybe locking them in some fashion. So I don't think those are going to be moved inside, but hopefully they'll be secured in some fashion.
Anything else? I just think it's just kind of weird to allow it at 6 o'clock and then say if somebody calls and complains, you can't do it. That just seems strange to me. I prefer it just be 7 o'clock as it is everywhere else, but that's just me. Any other questions or concerns? If not, call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
No. Motion carried.
Planning and Zoning Commission recommended for approval a request by SVAP Hoffman Plaza LP, owner and applicant, for a preliminary and final site plan for a retail building located on the Hoffman Plaza Shopping Center property located at the northeast corner of Rosella and Higgins Road with 8 conditions. The vote was 11 ayes.
Chair, accept the motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion second. Any questions? Trustee Mills.
Have they found anyone, any tenants yet for the buildings, do we know?
They found one for the drive-through that wasn't identified.
It's not identified. But the drive-through will fit the plans of this company, hopefully? Okay.
Anything else? See nothing else, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. Move on to additional business. 8A, request board approval of an ordinance granting a variation to premises at 3930 Whispering Trails Drive, Hoffman Estates.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion is a second. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. 8B, request board approval of an ordinance amending Section 8-3-22, number of licenses of Article 3 alcoholic liquors of the Hoffman Estates Municipal Code, reduced number of Class A licenses, React Presents LLC Spring Awakening, 5333 Prairie Stone Parkway, and Prairie Creek Properties, PIN 01-32-302-047-0000.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, can you poll the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell? Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. Move on to 8C, request board approval of the first amended and restated development agreement by and between Plum Farms OSR 72 LLC Rabina Realty Corporation and Village of Hoffman Estates dated May 1st, 2017, and amended as of June 17th, 2019. This is the extension of the uses there. Is that correct, Mr. Norris?
Yes, Mayor, that's correct. It also should be noted that somehow two page 8s got into the packet. The correct one on item 5D, what deals with the existing uses of the property. The committee recommendation was 3 years extension, which would be 5 years from the original date. So that is the correct page 8. Just to clarify.
So what is the real date then?
The real date is going to be 5 years past the effective date, and the effective date, as contained on page 1, is 2017. So the effective date will be 5 years after that, which is 2022.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification. Is there a motion? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion a second. Any discussion on this one? Seeing none, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. 8D, request board direction for action to be taken regarding the proposal to remodel the Bergman Farmhouse.
So moved.
Move what?
That's not direction.
No.
What's your motion? I want to hear.
Mr. Norris?
So at their last meeting, the board discussed it and requested that staff work with M&I Homes and Case Development on revising the agreements. There was an initial meeting. Progress seemed to be being made. After that, while drafting was being done between the parties, Case fell away again and has not contacted anyone, neither the village or M&I. I received a call today from Matt Pagori at M&I saying that their official position is that they're ready to move forward and in fact have started the process to apply for demolition permits in accordance with the condition 11 that was in the original approval of the Bergman Point subdivision. That would be, unfortunately, staff's recommendation. We started this process, the board, at board direction in 2015 to try to save the Bergman farmhouse. We went through multiple processes to receive bids and proposals from any entity, nonprofits, other governments, commercial entities, any entity. Case was the only one to step forward, and we've had many starts and stops and starts and stops, and no escrow has been established, hasn't paid for any of the permits. I believe owes M&I Homes for the engineering work that was done to do the application for the IDOT curb cuts. And so we're, in all honesty, probably at this point nowhere. And I'm sorry to deliver that news.
Okay, what do you want to do, people?
Well, it's with regret that I'll make a motion that we determine the farmhouse structure to not be appropriate for preservation at this point and direct staff to revoke the agreements related to the Bergman farmhouse and initiate the demolition process pursuant to the conditions of approval of the Bergman Point subdivision.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Trustee Mills?
So did you say, and Attorney Genero was talking to me at first, who actually called you? Case?
Matt Pagoria, who's the development manager, vice president for M&I Homes.
Okay, so they have not. And we were pretty insistent and clear that today was the drop dead date.
And that's why Mr. Pagoria called today. We've called basically last week. Douglas Soda would call, or Peter Gugliotta would call to see what the status was. And there was no response from Case. M&I was responsive, saying they're trying to get a hold of Mr. Evans from Case. And he knew this was the deadline.
Yeah.
He's not here. Mr. Pagoria made it clear that he wanted to be here, but he had another place to attend on behalf of his employer tonight, and wanted me to convey that they don't believe that they have any more patients, unfortunately, either.
Corporation Counsel Janura.
To add on to what Mr. Norris just said, at his direction and staff's direction, the law department went through and was working very closely with the attorney for M&I and supposedly an attorney representing Case, getting escrow agreements all prepared last week so that if the money were to come, we had all the agreements set up. M&I's attorney had contacted Chicago Title and Trust to get all the agreements lined up, and then the phone went dead, and we didn't hear anything from the other side.
Right.
Well, I think we've been very patient and tried for a long time.
Trustee Palafis.
Mr. Norris, originally, we talked about the Park District would be the recipient of the property?
So that is not something that's in the conditions of approval. That was the discussion that occurred at the meeting where the Bergman Point subdivision was originally approved. So ultimately, that is up to the board. From staff standpoint, this property is right next to the park. And I don't see any real use for the village at this point. We don't have to convey it. We can't convey it until it's demolished, utilities are disconnected, and the site's restored. The board can talk about it then, but it kind of makes sense since the Park District is already maintaining property there.
The reason I ask is one of the things we had discussed, if this were the likely outcome, was, some kind of like elevated plaque or something that showed, or they're around my park, where they show like different,
Right.
in this case, the history of Bergman and, and
We
and
definitely can work on that in cooperation with the Park District, some type of monument / plaque, something
Yeah.
that connotes it. Maybe it can go next to the playground. We can do something, yes.
Yeah.
I'll sit down with Mr. Talsma once this is decided.
Okay.
Has there been any thought given to leasing it to the park board like we did Chino Park and not give up ownership? We give them a long-term lease?
Use your microphone.
Yeah, let's let everybody hear what you're saying.
I would talk, Jim. Under the development agreement, I believe, and presently, right now, M&I owns the property.
Right.
Pursuant to the restoration program that the village was going into, the property was either going to be deeded from M&I to whoever the developer was that finished the restoration, or M&I has the property, and there has been some talk about M&I donating that to the Park District. However, I am sure that M&I, working with village staff, would be amenable to any good use to the property going forward. And but I just wanted to make it clear right now, M&I owns it right now, so when deciding what to do with the property, they, of course, will be involved.
We're being presumptuous since we don't own it.
A little bit. But pursuant to the development agreement, it was always thought to go to some type of public use if there was no restoration.
We can to answer the mayor's question, we can reapproach the Park District and see if they had any issues. When we talked to them about this, when we went through the different proposals, their concern about it was that it's not close to being ADA accessible or accessible under the Illinois Accessibility Code. Therefore, they couldn't really lease it to somebody, potentially. So that's what they said then. Plus, they said it was an awful lot of money to actually get it to the point where it could be used. So, but we'll be happy to talk to them again, if the board wants to ask M&I to delay the demolition.
And just be open space.
What is,
Or it could be,
Mayor?
well, if we're, I thought you were talking about saving the house.
I'm talking
No.
about the.
No, yeah,
Sure,
that's what I
sure.
wanted to
We can-
clarify. Yeah, you're not
yes,
talking about keeping
yes,
the house.
The Park District has expressed interest in doing something on the property and ultimately owning the property after it's restored to a grass. So we'll work with them on that.
Any other comments? We do have a motion, a second. Ms. Barch, you want to come up and give us your name and address and tell us what you want to say?
Like the last time, it's difficult for me to talk. My name is Pat Barch. I'm village historian. I live at 550 Briarcliff Lane in Hoffman Estates for 54 years. It is such a sad day to hear the final decision. I understand it. I truly do. And I wanted to thank the village for all the time. And I know I've talked to Peter so many times on the phone asking, Peter, is there any hope? Is anything happening? What have you heard from the people that are going to, rehab the house? And it was always he hadn't heard anything, or he had heard promises and nothing had happened. So I understand all that's gone into this. It was a three-way agreement that was difficult to set up in the first place in order to try to save the house. And so I wanted to say thank you. Harold had become a dear friend, and we hoped that his house would remain standing and would be used for a good purpose. We knew it couldn't have been used as a museum because of the expenses, and there was no one that was willing to support that. If the house then is torn down, I would like to suggest, and I've gotten in touch with the Park District about this. Harold had a daughter, Georgia, who died of Lou Gehrig's disease. She taught in the school district up north for many years. She never had a child of her own, and I would love to see any park. In fact, there's already a partial park there now, or one that would be added on to if the Park District decided to use this land as a park. That would be my suggestion. So much time has gone into this, so much hope. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to say? We do have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Yeah. Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis?
Aye.
Trustee Stanton?
Regretfully, aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried.
We tried.
9, adjournment to executive session. For what reasons, Trustee Mills?
I make a motion, we adjourn into executive session for the purpose of personnel employment, 5 ILCS 120/2C1.
I'll
There's a
second.
motion. Is there a second? Any discussion? See no discussion, can you pull the board, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Mills?
Aye.
Trustee Newell?
Aye.
Trustee Palafis? Aye. Trustee Stanton?
Aye.
Trustee Gata?
Aye.
Trustee Arnett?
Aye.
Mayor McLeod?
Aye, motion carried. We are adjourned to executive session. We will not be coming back out this evening.